Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Marin Economic Briefing. My name is Mike Blakely, and I'm the CEO of the Marin Economic Forum. We are a 501c3 public benefit organization providing research and advisory on the Marin County and regional economy. Thank you for joining us this morning. You can find out a lot more about our work by visiting our website at marineconomicforum.org. And I also encourage you to follow us on LinkedIn, where you can receive more frequent updates on our activities like this briefing here. So there's a lot to talk about this morning, things happening at both the global and the local level. And to make sure that we understand all of this, we are joined by our MEF's chief economist, Dr. Rob Eiler, who's going to be presenting all the most recent data. You will note that this is April's Marin Economic Briefing. It's at the end of the month, and we always schedule our briefings around when the freshest data is available, so we can make sure that you, our audience, is informed on the most recent information out there. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Rob, and he's going to take us through the data at the state and national level, as well as especially here in Marin County. And then I'll come back with a few words of what we're seeing here from our own perspective. So with that, let me turn it over to Rob. Thank you again for joining us. Rob, good morning.
Hi, Mike. Good morning. Thanks so much. And thanks for everybody for coming today. So let's just jump right into it. What I want to show you is I want to show you the latest forecast and some of the changes that are slowly emerging. So these data are actually from February 2022, and the Federal Reserve in Philadelphia does a quarterly forecast consensus after they interview about 40 forecasters and ask them where they see things going over the next few quarters and the next few years with respect to certain variables. I'm going to show three variables that are of large importance. One is real GDP growth, or the growth of income after inflation in the American economy. The next one's unemployment rate, and the final one is what we're going to talk about again in just a second, called core PCE, or core personal consumption expenditures price index inflation. Now, the quarterly stuff is all over the place in terms of what the latest and greatest are. And you can see there's been a little bit of a downgrade on the new forecast, but let's go to the annual, because the annual is actually a little bit more intriguing in terms of other forecasters, like the International Monetary Fund tend to do annual forecasts and not quarterlies. So the quarterly data are likely to get jumbled all over the place in the next forecast that's coming out in about 3 weeks. But the annual forecast in February 2022 for this year was 3.7% growth, and that shaded area is the latest forecast. The previous quarter forecast is in the column next door to it that's not shaded, so it went down about 0.2% from November to February. That black arrow next door to the 3.7 suggests that other forecasts are emerging that we're going to see another downgrade. And in fact, the IMF downgraded American growth in 2022, 2023, and 2024 about 10 days ago, when they released their second quarter forecast for the global economy. So we should expect these forecasters to make those similar adjustments, because we've had relatively high inflation that has lingered around at relatively high heights, and with global conflict well, not global conflict, I shouldn't be so dramatic, but with a conflict that has global implications happening in Eastern Europe, we should expect there to be some business pessimism and some slowdown in global growth, which will affect the US growth. Now, from a labor market standpoint, generally speaking, there has not been a lot of adjustments to forecast in terms of where unemployment rates are going, but we have to remember the caveat to the unemployment rate is it counts only those folks that are in the so-called labor force. And we know that there's been changes in the labor force with respect to the number of people who are actually participating in it that were there before the pandemic. So if we feel that people have chosen to remove themselves, would those folks have been without a job otherwise? And is that thus leading us to an unemployment rate that is understating the true unemployment problem? And generally, coming out of recession, most economists believe that we understate the current unemployment problem as we emerge from recession, because people are making a lot of different choices about how they provide their time to the labor market. The inflation issue, which we're going to come back to in just a few seconds, is forecasted to slowly turn from its current high levels this year at some point, and then the next couple of years. But you'll see that black arrow next to that 3.1. There was an upgrade in the forecast from November to February 2022, and then now we're expecting it to upgrade again. So as those quarterly data emerge, expect that the predicted growth of prices through the end of 2022 is going to continue to rise from previous forecasts because we still have not cleaned up all the issues. And now with what's going on in Ukraine, we've seen in fact an exacerbation of those issues. So if we look at inflation, the Federal Reserve tends to look at what's called core, or after food and energy prices, personal consumption expenditure prices, which is the broadest basket of goods and services that households buy, and what the value of that is on an annualized basis every month. So that February 5.4% you see on the far right-hand side at the top part of this graph is a reflection of the February data looking back 1 year and the percentage change that it costs people to buy the same basket of goods after food and energy prices are taken out. So that's relatively high. And these data are from 2007 forward on a monthly basis. And you can see how it's skyrocketed from about April or May 2021 to the latest data that are still available, or that are currently available, which is February 2022. However, the shaded area next door to that suggests that the forecasts, which are the red dots, are going to see a downturn from those heights. So we are expecting, with the combination of continued emergence from the pandemic, relative aggression, I should say, with central banks looking at increasing rates, including the Federal Reserve, the demand and supply characteristics that drive relatively high inflation should start to see a turn toward slower inflation rates, but not necessarily back down to where we were, which is that blue line, the goal of monetary policy in the United States, really before 2025. So one of the things we're trying to do is say, well, what can we do and see out there that suggests we've seen a turn of the corner? Well, are prices falling or stabilizing? And folks are going to use the gas price and the grocery store prices as one way of gauging that. How aggressive is the Federal Reserve going to be? So we've heard brand new rhetoric about aggression in terms of moving those rates up very, very quickly. We're going to see more on that in just a second. Our wage is going to continue to rise. So we know that businesses are facing higher costs of doing business. Is that going to continue? And then how much higher will housing prices go? Housing happens to be a relatively large component of what people buy every month, whether you're renting or you're purchasing your home over time. The increase in housing prices and the increase or stabilization of rents where you are have exacerbated, to a certain extent, the pressure on these prices to go up. But we're still trying to figure out, is it supply or demand? Which one is really explaining what's going on? Because we know excess demand is why inflation happens in markets. If we don't know which one, if it's supply or demand that is moving in the wrong direction to create higher prices, policymakers will struggle to address these issues completely. Now, with that in mind, I'm going to show you kind of a fun graph this time, which is looking at the opinion of the Federal Reserve's so-called Federal Open Market Committee, the committee that decides on what to do with short-term interest rates. You can see in 2021, the opinion, the blue dots represent the individual committee members' opinion. 2021, there was no change in rates, and they all kind of agreed that there was not going to be any change. But in 2022, and these data are from the latest, these are the latest data just from last month. They do it on a quarterly basis. You can see those blue dots went up very quickly. Well, 6 months ago, that box housed all those dots. And the black line is the trajectory of the dots over time to 2024, which you can see in 2022 and 2023 have both increased above and beyond the box in the black line. So what this suggests is that based on where we were 6 months ago with the opinion of these policymakers, they now see a need to move short-term interest rates up more quickly, with the idea that the increase in rates will address the demand side problems that are driving relatively high inflation, but the cost for that will be a slower growth rate. So like we talked about with the forecast that we saw right off the top, those downturns in the forecast are a function of both where forecasters see policy going, the lingering high levels of inflation, and some of the supply side issues that have still not cleaned up or have been made worse by what's going on in Eastern Europe. The supposition is that for right now, we will clean up most of those issues by 2024 and basically be back to pre-pandemic rates on the short end of the yield curve, or what you can think of as basically the rates for cash by the end of 2024. And we need to get back there to a certain extent. We need to turn off the emergency fuel, but we have to make sure that we don't do it in such a way that it undermines our ability to grow as an economy. That's really the policy trick. Okay, so that's sort of the national with the international part sprinkled on top of it in terms of how it's changing what's going on domestically. What I want to now talk about is some comparisons of the local economy in Marin County to California. And we're going to start with a very, we're going to start with a recovery graph that shows the evolution of jobs first in the Great Recession. So this is Marin County's total number of people employed going from November 2007 to the end of the Great Recession, which took about 58 months for folks that lived in Marin County to kind of get back to the same level of people working as we had before the Great Recession began. And this is the pandemic evolution. So we're still 95.1% away from getting back to that red line, which is January 2020 on a seasonally adjusted basis. But there's a couple of caveats. One, we need to be thinking that these are people that live in Marin County. So if people have left the workforce, they won't be counted here. Even if they are working, they went from a payroll worker to an independent contractor, they're no longer counted. So some of the changes in the Marin County labor market, and the more local you get, especially where you get more local, more educated, more ability to be an independent contractor or have a so-called gig job that's in relatively high wages or let's say for more advanced services, you might see more volatility in the labor market numbers. So that's something to watch. Now, in terms of recovery at the industrial level, so this now shifts us from folks that live in Marin County to folks that work in Marin County. There was an update at California EDD, which takes the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the so-called official estimates for the American economy, and all 3,200-ish counties and townships in the United States, synthesizes those data against the state level data on jobs, and then publishes another, not exactly the same, but close data set that most people in California that follow this use as a way of tracking the local economy. So what I'm going to show you here is the change in jobs from January 2020 on a monthly basis with specific months picked out. And you're going to see some changes. So you can see April 2020 was a real shock to the Marin County economy, which it was across the nation and across California for sure. May 2020, we saw a little bit of recovery. By the end of 2020, we saw construction and transportation warehousing in Marin County actually be positive growth from before the recession. So those two industries really came out of the blocks quick. We started to recover. June 2021, December 2021, basically those two industries were still in growth phase, which is good because we had some places that actually were picking up jobs. And to a certain extent, we should be thinking that people that lost a job in other industries probably saw themselves transitioning to construction and transportation and warehousing, and think of last mile logistics as the main reason why we saw transportation warehousing pick up. January 22, February, and March 2022. So these are the latest data available. And there's sort of two things to look at. These data from Marin County have actually been estimated as lower than they were before the change in the estimates that EDD did earlier this year. They basically what you call re-benchmark against new data and new information. And you can see leisure and hospitality almost 20% down from where we were before the pandemic. Now, some of that could be that folks have left the area, have retired from those jobs, or have basically decided not to go back. But regardless, there's still about 1 out of 5 jobs that were there in places like bars, restaurants, hotels, and event centers have not come back as of the end of March. Other services down about 13, a little over 13.5%. That's hair salons, nail salons, fitness centers, and then auto shops and things we just don't categorize otherwise very well. But even wholesale and manufacturing are down in Marin County, at least in the latest estimate. So when you think about from a workforce and economic development standpoint, these shifting sectoral changes are a big deal in planning forward, because if we don't get those jobs to come back, maybe because employers have shifted their model, or potentially some businesses are no longer there, will those jobs come back? And especially in leisure and hospitality, those are relatively easy entry jobs for high school students that just graduated from high school and are looking to just generate income, or folks that are in between jobs otherwise. So we're watching these data very closely at MEF because we do not want to see those double-digit numbers linger for much longer. Excuse me. To compare to what's going on in California, this really showcases this dichotomy between how the unemployment rate looks at the labor market and how other data need to be considered. So you'll notice that the unemployment rate is stated, and if you don't do the seasonal adjustment, it's 2.4%. If you do it, it's about 2.6% in Marin County as of the end of March. But notice the labor force data. labor force in Marin County, for the folks that had a job or were looking for work before the pandemic, is down almost 5% as of March 2022, as well as the number of people that live in Marin County are actually working. Now, if you add all that up, is that because there's a bunch of people that are looking for work or don't have a job in Marin County? The answer is probably not. This is probably more of a mix of people that retired or now are being counted in some other places labor force because they moved away. In California overall, the numbers are still negative, but not at the large percentage that we see in Marin County. So there's the recovery from this recession is a little different than what we saw at the beginning of the recovery from the Great Recession, because we've got a lot more population shifting and potentially having more people retire in this cycle than they did in the last one. The rationale, if your equity market wealth and your housing market wealth have increased as a result of the recession by the nature of your participation in both those markets, it's possible you're now using that wealth as a catalyst to retire. And thus you're still living in Marin County, you're just not actively seeking work. Here's a quick summary of commercial real estate. Newmark publishes every quarter its estimate of what's going on in Marin County's office market, but also what's potentially going to be constructed. So if you look at those blue arrows on the far right-hand side of that table, that's actually the most important piece of this. And this is why Newmark's data are so important and so powerful, because they're really looking forward. So you can see vacancy rates are looking that they're going to turn down a little bit, but construction is still flat. We do not expect construction of new office space to happen in Marin County anytime soon, mostly because we're expecting that high vacancy rates lingering around and unknown future in terms of the occupation or reoccupation of office space are going to give developers a little bit of concern in terms of building anything new. And those relatively high vacancy rates are not new. There's some damage that still lingered in this market from before the pandemic and really just on the heels of the Great Recession ending. So we're looking at that closely, though. Industrial and warehousing space remains really strong. The office space situation is a regional issue. And what the key there is that we might see people that have now moved to Marin County or lived in Marin County before the pandemic who used to go into the urban areas of the Bay Area for work that do not intend to come back. So how office space will shake out regionally is a huge question going forward for commercial real estate professionals. But really, and this is the key, in our larger suburban and urban areas, the jobs that depend on inbound commuters and a lot of activity during the day, Monday through Friday, in some cases Monday through Saturday, in our downtown areas, how many jobs does that affect? So one can start to logically connect the dots and say, well, if we have not come back to the office, that's possibly a reason why we're not seeing as many people hired back in leisure and hospitality jobs. And then there start to be sort of tertiary and beyond effects in terms of how that starts to have social issues, an inability to make the rent, moving a more mobile labor force looking for more economic opportunity, and more search time for our employers regionally looking for workers that may not be around as much anymore. So we have to try to figure out what's happening within that matrix, but there's really no easy solutions to those problems. It's very tough, especially if things like housing markets are driving that, those kind of choices for workers. We have to watch that very closely. But our office spaces are an indicator of how people are going back to work or what they're doing for work. Now, with that in mind, the Census Bureau in March of 2022 just published its 2020 American Community Survey results. And the 5-year averages, looking sort of in a rolling window backward, are the better ways of looking at the census data because there's actually a lot more, there's less error in the data by using the 5-year average. But you have to take that with a caveat because, again, it's a 5-year average. Part of that is how many people are estimated to work from home. So one of the biggest questions I've been asked basically since April 2020 is, okay, now that we're working from home, how many people are doing that? How many people can do that sustainably? And then as time has lingered on, how many people remain at home working? So I'm going to show you, this is from Marin County from 2011, looking back 5 years, all the way to 2020, looking back 5 years. And you can see this slow climb where 2020, there was a real pop. So with just that 1 year of post-pandemic data put into this 5-year rolling average, we saw a real big pop in the number of people that are working from home. But the trend was already marching up due to the nature of what people that live in Marin County do for work. but also the nature of technology being able to allow more work from home. If you look at California and the United States, similar trends took place, but certainly not the same sort of percentage pop that we saw in Marin County, but we kind of had to expect that. The key is this an opportunity or a challenge? And I would say it's a marginal opportunity, with the idea that if more people are now working from home in Marin County, their spending power during the day now has come to Marin County rather than going to where they commute. It also gets more people off the road, which also has kind of a mixed bag of results, especially for our municipalities, with respect to how the gas tax works and basically the movement over the bridge with respect to the tolls. All that is what we're going to be watching over the next 12 to 18 months to see, do we finally get clear of the pandemic in such a way that some of these trends change, or in fact become larger over time? So folks, with that, I'm going to hand it back over to Mike to tell us what's going on in Marin County more deeply. Thank you.
Rob, thanks so much. As usual, a ton of data and raising a lot of questions, actually. And so I want to come back to you with a couple of questions from your presentation. Let's start first kind of at the national level. 2 points here. One is the Fed is taking action now to address inflation, but perhaps you could expand a little bit for our audience on the lag that will occur. So when a raise in interest rates takes effect, it's a while before that achieves its goal. So can you talk about historically how action like this to tame inflation, it's going to take a while before we really start to see any material results from that?
Great question, Mike. And there's probably a million pages of research written on this topic. So let me try to boil it down in like 30 seconds. There's two issues. One is that if there's a surprise and we did not expect the monetary policy that comes forward and it happens, that's where the lag effect can be a little longer. And it could be somewhere between 6 to 12 months to actually see the true market effects if the market is surprised by policy. If the market is not surprised by policy, and this is to a certain extent why you're seeing people like Jerome Powell come out and make statements about what the Federal Reserve probably intends to do, the market will start to react while that announcement happens. In monetary theory and policy circles, we call this an announcement effect, that the announcement effect will actually start to generate the expected change from the policy that is being pushed out there in the rhetoric from the central bank, and the effects are a lot faster, and it shrinks the lag. So the game is how closely will the Federal Reserve play out the increase in interest rates that they're pushing out there as a prediction, and how is the market going to take those data as gospel and start to get reactions going today rather than wait?
Yeah, well, so far the markets aren't taking it very well, as people have no doubt seen looking at the equity markets. And that brings me to another point, which we started to hear last week, which is more and more economists starting to make predictions of recession. So, from your perspective, how real is that threat, and is it something we need to be keeping, in focus here?
Another great question. So when people ask me about where recession is, I kind of take them down this idea. There's two ways of thinking about it, in that one, the momentum in the economy that's already there coming out of the pandemic recession might carry the day, assuming that relatively high inflation does not undermine business and consumer spending and ultimately the way we hire people. So if we're able to turn the corner slowly in inflation and other global events do not exacerbate either business pessimism or inflation pressure, the Federal Reserve should be able to shape an outcome that slows growth but does not necessarily tip us over to recession. There's been a bunch of previous recessions where the Federal Reserve has been blamed for that because interest rates went up too high too quickly. So that threat exists. The Federal Reserve knows that. And so now they're playing this game of balancing the addressing, I should say, of inflation versus not tipping over business spending and consumer spending to a negative growth such that it undermines otherwise the growth rate or the growth momentum in our economy. What's going on in Eastern Europe, unfortunately, and also what's going on in China in terms of this sort of shifting policy around lockdowns and how that might exacerbate some of the supply side issues and the final cleanup of our supply chain efficiencies, that's something the Federal Reserve cannot easily address. So on the recession side, if you take rising interest rates, a rising cost of doing business, and you add all that up, alongside of conflict that is not showing any real signs of resolution, businesses might start sitting on their hands and saying, okay, we basically done what we want to do for now in terms of growth and bringing people back to work. And now we're going to wait. And if, as we wait, growth starts to slow down and we might tip into a very mild recession by, let's say, the first or second quarter of next year. But a lot of that depends on how aggressive the Federal Reserve is and whether or not these other things that are making for supply side issues in our global economy continue to linger or get worse. So those are kind of the lenses by which to think about the yes and the no story about whether or not recession is imminent.
Yeah, and that, for those economists that are saying that, it certainly sounds logical, unfortunately, but
yeah,
but it's a rational conclusion and something that we need to keep a focus on. And you touched on something that I wanted to talk a little bit about just in the closing minutes here, which is, MEF participates in a lot of meetings around the county. So we're fortunate to get a lot of perspectives, whether it be from small businesses or policymakers, or even, frankly, people that are living here but employed from big firms, outside Marin County, and everybody's frustrated. And what's happening is we're all being affected by what we call exogenous variables. That is to say, there's things happening outside of our control, not just here in Marin, not even just here in the US. And Rob touched on some of these things, but these global activities are having an effect on us that leaves us all kind of throwing our hands in the air because there isn't a whole lot that we can do about it. And I guess I'm using the opportunity to say that, as the body in the county that focuses on the economy and everybody wants answers on when, there's a lot of stuff that we don't know. And there's a lot of stuff that policymakers, in the US at the state level, at the county level, can't really control. The equities markets were one of the few bright spots during the pandemic, as well as housing. But now you've seen in the last week or so, how fluid those markets are, and now they're really down. Rob talked earlier about people looking to equity markets to aid their retirement. That's something that all of a sudden becomes in question now. All of a sudden, we're seeing China take a more extreme approach to managing COVID, which is definitely not only scaring the market, but not doing anything to ease the supply chain challenges that we have. I can go on and on about things at the global level that are affecting us even here in Marin County. And so unfortunately, there's just not a lot that we can do about that. And as Rob said, this stuff is going to take time. And that's about the only counseling that we ever give anybody, is that these things are going to take time to manage. And we know it's not easy to ask people to be patient. The last thing I want to touch on, because this is sort of a request to all of you. Rob talked about the conditions at the local labor market, and everybody I'm sure tuning in knows that it's very difficult for employers to hire now. It has been even pre-pandemic. It seems now to be maybe worse than it ever has. The request is, if you have the opportunity to share with us your experience as an employer, or maybe even as a job seeker, there really is perhaps a shaking out, maybe even an inflection point about what the labor market in Marin County is going to look like. We have challenges such as a declining population. We have the lowest proportion of millennials in the entire Bay Area region. We have a lot of our jobs are concentrated in low wage jobs, low wage occupations that can't provide the kind of living wage that people need here in Marin County. So from the perspective of our labor market and what that means for businesses going forward, and entrepreneurs that may open a business here, this is really an important time in Marin County's history for this. And so for those of you that have an opinion on this, or that are experiencing something that you think we need to know, please reach out to us, because we want to collect as much anecdotal evidence on the situation as possible. As most of you know, we are in the process of designing Marin County's first ever economic strategy. And we've got to look at these influences on the labor market and our demographics and what the future may hold. And so we definitely welcome people's input on this, because this is a situation that we haven't really seen before, and it's very difficult to understand what it's going to look like going forward. But I want to leave it on the positive, because Rob indicated that this might be an opportunity as well. And I've heard lots of people talking about that. So let's, as we wrap up today, I want to thank you for joining. Let's keep things on the positive. What are the opportunities these challenges are going to bring to Marin County in the future? There are a few of them. We've all been talking about them, and Rob shared a few today. So with that, I'm going to let everybody get back to your workday. Thank you so much again for joining us. Do follow us on LinkedIn and spread the word about these briefings. It's our real pleasure to bring this information to everybody. Thanks so much.